This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
A team is not a team if you don't give a damn about one another.
You going number one or number two?
Trust Dad.
Ma, I gotta go.
What does it take to turn 5 uncontrollable characters into one unbeatable team?
Even with my help, it will be difficult, if not nearly impossible, to defeat a team from Korea.
I'm afraid. You need this fight bad. You need this fight for you, man.
I'm here to teach you how to win. Winning isn't a sometime thing. Winning is an all-time thing.
This is the only thing I know I am good at. Don't take that away from me.
You can work. You can sweat. You can train. You can dream and never be better than good. But when the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Someone to lose. Someone to win. Only the strong will survive. Reach for the best you have within. There is no compromise. You have to stand up and fight when the challenge is right. Through the tears and the pain, still the glory remains. You see the vision in sight. Put yourself to the test. Be the best of the best.
I'm gonna take your head off.
Last time, they fought for glory. This time, they're fighting for their lives.
Did you judge us pretty easily? If you're gonna fight it, you must be prepared to die. I look forward to killing you.
Best of the Best 2, rated R. Starts Friday, March 5th at theaters everywhere.
We mixed. We loaded it. We edited.
Sometimes we get so deep into conversation that we have separate segments worthy of their own place in the sun.
Here is a reshuffled mini episode.
See, so that brings me to the Best of the Best franchise. I know you guys are both familiar with this one, but I feel like throughout that franchise, like, there are some small, like, tributes to, like, Jackie Chan and Jet Li in them. And it's so funny how he's working now, but for a while, like, we only knew Philip Ray. He's like, yeah, he's the brother of famous stunt performer Simon Rhee. He went off to do, like, some graphic arts design, but we thought he was going to be, like, a go-to, like, made-for-TV, direct-to-video action star. And it's wild how it's kind of a fun career side project for Eric Roberts, and then part 3 is just a fun take back a town. You got Gina Gershon and reliable character actor Christopher MacDonald playing a nice guy for once as the sheriff. And much like the Substitute movies, which actually had some of the same directors, they're fighting some white supremacists and, hicks in a small town. And then part 4, it's like a Die Hard at an airport kind of movie. He's a fugitive on the run. What a bizarre, unusual franchise, but very easygoing and fun once you get past all the cheese. Like, it's like the first one is like Rocky. The second one is kind of a blood sport kind of movie. And the third is like, I call that Big Day at Bad Day at Black Rock, First Blood, and then part 4 is Die Hard and The Fugitive, with special guest appearance by Ernie Hudson as the detective. It's just wild how there were so many ways to get an avenue into watching martial arts cinema, pre-Matrix, every other superhero movie incorporating it. This is like, if you weren't watching this, if you weren't watching any of the big names who were utilizing it, then you probably saw one of these, when they hit cable TV and video stores. And
I was obsessed with the first movie for a really long time.
Every one of my martial arts friends has seen it. They know a lot of the lines by heart.
Oh yeah.
They know about the workout scene in the snow. That one of them actually cries when, despite a lot of the overacting at the finale, I did it, I defeated him. And 80s movies just had fun soundtracks too, to where it's like you wanted to actually buy the cassette. Yes, this is before digital, where it was all on Spotify. It was like, I want to get the cassette so I can work out to it.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, I still have some of those songs in my revolving workout playlist. And but they're very inoffensive. What's funny though is I even encountered a gal at my old airport job who had seen a lot of hit 80s movies, and it wasn't stuff that I thought she would have seen. Like, for every hit dancing movie or music video kind of epic, like everything from Purple Rain to Flashdance and Footloose, she had actually seen the first two Best of the Best, and she's like, first one was all right, good acting. Part 2, that was just excessive. And I think it was a sign of the times. I think because the first one was PG-13 and the second one was it's a mild R rating, but there was just a few bit of language and a murder at the beginning. I think, and a neck snap, it got that rating. It's interesting how it gave people a little more what they wanted, but somehow it was kind of like 48 Hours. It was always going to work better, I guess, on cable TV instead of for a big theater audience who didn't know what they wanted. But what do I know? They are cliche movies, but they're just fun movies that they're B action films, Actually, I've been wanting to revisit the last two because I honestly don't think I've watched the last two since they were first released.
I think you'd like them. I've always watched them out of order, and I think that was the beauty of them. They without fail, they would be on Spike TV or FX Network first thing in the morning, and they were just very easygoing. It was also funny how Kane Hodder, that's right, Jason Voorhees,
I was going to mention that.
He was a henchman in every one of them. He's a barfly in the first one, and he's a bodyguard in part 2, and then he's one of the other punks who I think gets killed in part 3, and in part 4. And here we go again. We were talking about Tobin Bell. He's the bad guy in part 4. So what a weird career for him. He starts off as being a dad or school friends, type roles. And then slowly but surely, he's slowly, after The Firm, he's the go-to quiet character actor. And before he was in every other creepy movie, is I think he's a good actor. He's just he's just so good at being a bad guy, and he just is always kind of a respectable B movie guy. But part 3 is interesting. It's that this is a Jackie Chan movie on a discount. Instead of Rebel in the Bronx, you've got and I guess it was just easy to remember Philip's name, Tommy. Hey, Tom. Eric Roberts acted like he wouldn't have. Those movies would have been better had he been in them. I'm well, in all fairness, your career kind of, I'm not saying it went a bad way, but his character's arc was kind of done. It was just to connect the first movie. What do I know?
Yeah, I'm just checking here Robert's here on IMDb, and I see he is 116 upcoming projects.
Yeah, he literally. I thought it was impossible to do 20 movies a year, but he does 20 a year, and you'll love this. From the last few Reddits and movie interviews I've heard about him, he apparently now pulls a Marlon Brando, where he just does a cue card on every movie. He's like, I don't have to fucking work now. I'm like, okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
Was this one of the first ones you saw him in, or were you more familiar with his other earlier dramatic stuff like Hope of Greenwick Village? Or
you asking me?
Yes.
I think I saw him first in what's my memory. It's one of his earlier movies about the porn star.
Oh, Star 80?
Yeah, exactly.
Star 80.
I think I was
King
way
of the
too,
Gypsies and Runaway Train. And,
I was way too young watching Star 80, but I remember watching it. And,
a lot of people have seen him more than they realize.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I had to tell my friend Tony, whose favorite show is Suits. I'm like, I didn't realize he was on that. I'm like, I did. You pay attention to enough of these B movie guys, like they will show up in everything. They're past having to even care about awards. He pretty much is always going to be. Yeah, I got a Golden Globe nom. Playing a dad or a psycho or a cop.
Eric Roberts was. I think he's a good actor. Look at the start of his career, and he was. In Runaway Train, for example. He was someone. He had a serious. He had
a good aura to him.
Yeah, he had.
He had the movie star look. It was just.
And then the coke came.
Yeah, drugs.
Yeah.
But it's still amazing that he's in good shape as he is. I've seen so many other people who needed, surgery done or just really goofed it up. And kudos to him for just making it be a thing.
Yeah. I gladly would. I don't gladly watch everything he does. I do not. But I do like. He did a series of movies where he's a doctor stalking his patients. I don't remember the name of these movies. I think there's like 5 or 6 of them. He's just stalking them in different ways, and there's musical numbers and some of them. And maybe it's called My Doctor is a Stalker. I don't remember, but he does something.
Gotcha.
There is a sense of humor, and I think he's very, very aware of what kind of movies he's making nowadays. He probably gets. I have no idea how much he earns on a movie, but it can't be that much considering how many movies he makes every year. But he probably makes a decent living doing these one-day jobs. And he's not bad. He's not bad. He might be bored sometimes, but he compared to others, he's not whining. He just keeps working. He's still a
before he became Danny Trejo level. He was all about just kind of trying to. I do believe that he does love acting. Like he does doing it. And unfortunately, people do often want him to be just like an authority figure or a gangster or just ham it up. And I think just after seeing some of his better indie work and recurring TV roles, I think he does legit, like any of these actors, if you encourage, I don't want to say misbehaving, just being over the top and silly, that's all you're going to get. If you want to actually encourage creativity, then send that invite as well, just.
I always looked at him as somebody, if he had paired up or gotten an opportunity by a filmmaker like, say, Quentin Tarantino or somebody of that nature, would have completely.
He had a good
changed the trajectory of his career.
He did some fun cartoon voiceovers and other stuff, but like you say, he just kind of.
He had his chances, Wasn't he in Inherent Vice or something like that?
He was in that. I think it just. I don't know if it was just the crowd he was hanging out with. Like everyone was like, "Oh, he's friends with Daryl Hannah and Mickey Rourke, and those guys misbehave, so maybe he does too." And he should have just said, "I'm friends with them, but I will behave on your movie set, and I will." And the thing is, I don't know, like it also just depends on what people have seen you in. If generally the average person I tell them about, they're like, oh yeah, he's good, or yeah, he's good, but he stars in anything. So I think it is interesting how before we got into the Nicolas Cage, Michael Caine level of arguments, it takes a while for people to warm up to certain actors who will always say yes. And it just takes a while to realize, okay, but are they actually good, or are they just in paycheck mode? You know, and it's just, he's just one of those, he can be a chameleon at times. It's just also just one of those where he had to kind of just get creative, but he'll be honest, if he still is kind of a good reminder of how to be a bad boy, because he kind of has that attitude still about different things, but he also just knows how to keep it in check and still show up on time and just do whatever the material merits. Yeah. Reed, though, should have been a bigger name, and so yes. I couldn't get into some of his more recent stuff he did. I think he had one called that was Dawn the Dragon Wilson, but it was like Kung Fu Kid or something. But
that was Martial Arts Kid.
Martial Arts Kid, yes, yeah. So, but I mean, Underdog Kids is what I was thinking of from like 2015.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I couldn't get into it, but I still like that. Again, like, he's just very keen, laid back, and he apparently he actually did represent National Taekwondo team in the finale of the 1980 Asian Games, and that's what helped him co-write, Best of the Best. So I think that's just it. Like, it was a personal movie, but it was also a popcorn movie, an easygoing movie. Like, I don't think it could have been made nowadays. It would just be a goofy film starring some other like it or hate it actor. And I think it was just, you want to talk right place and right time when martial arts and workout and fitness craze were first beginning. And he found the right place to integrate that. I have tried checking out some of his other obscure movies like LA Street Fighters, and I know he was in like another one with like Sam J. Jones and Linda Blair, which was crazy. And I was like, so yeah, Best of the Best is pretty much what he was known for. And but he has advanced black belts in Taekwondo, 6th Dan, and Hapkido, and trained in Wing Chun and boxing. And I guess he just was very likable. Like, it wasn't as infectious a smile as all these other guys we were talking about. Like, there's just some people who just make you comfy. It's like, I'm going to follow you for the rest of the movie, even if it's not great. But out of all the various places, various franchises I've gone, I'm not going to put Best of the Best as a big offender or so lowbrow that, I can't watch any of them,
Tommy Lee is coming home to liberty.
I can't believe you're here!
But liberty is not the town that he remembers.
This is white man's land! Their sacred oath must never be compromised.
Get off my property.
You know what those people are doing to this town?
When hatred is religion.
We will create our own nation.
Never used to be like this.
And violence is law.
A race war is imminent.
You hate me just as much as I hate you.
Remember, your blood is red like mine.
The only hope for peace.
Kingsmen, arise!
You're gonna get yourself killed.
Can you walk away?
Is war.
One heart, one beat. 1,000 hearts, one beat.
For one man.
Can't we all just get along?
Liberty is worth dying for. Best of the Best 3. No turning back.
A
Acclaimed action star Philip Rhee is back, and better than ever, in the newest chapter of the explosive action series. Best of the best without warning. When the Russian mob makes a daring move to counterfeit American money.
And why take the great risk to make a fake when with a little extra effort, you can have the real thing?
Tommy Lee becomes their deadly target.
Daddy, I'm scared.
But this target is fighting back without warning. Philip Rhee and Ernie Hudson star in the fist-flying, pulse-pounding, thrill-packed adventure that will blow you away. Best of the best without warning.
Hey, man. All right. Well, welcome to the show. We got authors Jamie MacDonald and Christopher Evans. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, great. Good to be on the show. Finally made it after 2 years since the first after it was on, but yeah.
After we've just wrapped up a best of the best, our favorite moments from that franchise, how appropriate. We have people who are heavily inspired by that movie. So tell us a little about yourselves. So you guys are not only experts, but you practice it and you go to actual martial arts movies and events.
Well, I myself have been in the martial arts for about 30 years, so I've been doing like off and on since I was about 4 or 5. I kind of grew out of it really like when I was in my early 20s, and then due to illness I got back into it again, but I concentrated mainly on like the movies and stuff like that. So in recent years, it's been a lot more important to me, you know. But I've had an interest since a young age. So yeah, it's been off and on. In the last couple of years ago, I've been lucky to be a part of the Doncaster Martial Arts Show, which is the biggest in the UK, and which the stars of.
So for those who want to look it up, Chris was gracious enough to send a link. It's called the UK MAS show. Look it up, and yeah.
Simon Rhee and his brother Philip are going to be there.
Yeah, May 2nd through 4th. Yeah.
And Sophia Rothrock's going to be there as well. So I'm lucky there. So
now it's a party if Rothrock is there.
So train with them.
How about yourself, Jamie?
Did you like the book?
Yeah.
Did you like the book?
Yeah, I was really blown away by it. It was really fast paced. Very brisk. You guys were not waiting around. You were just like, let's get to business. And I really, so had you always wanted to write a book? Or for those who don't know, it's a new martial arts book series called the Alain Bannion book series, and the first entry is The Tiger's Claw, and they were gracious enough to give me a copy, and I was like, man, this is every spy cop movie on steroids. Like you guys are going to town, but it was brisk, but there was a lovely surprise. I dug how you would even just give detail to like inanimate objects that were going to play a part in the whole thing. I loved how at one point it just out of nowhere you guys call a gun demonic to signify how taut the scene was, as well as a badass one-liners like, "Listen here, cod eyes. I've been running this business long before you even knew where the northeast of England was in your dad's atlas." You know, it was just all kinds of one-liners. So, did you consume action-based books and comics growing up as well? Or?
Yeah, pretty much. Anything to do with action, martial arts, especially martial arts, from a very young age. Watching Jackie Chan, Fonda's Memory, Sneaking into the Shadow, all that kind of stuff. To best of the best, which we'll talk about as well. And there's a lot of references in the book to martial arts films and to detectives.
Yeah. There was a hallway of mirrors. You know, there was all kinds of stuff.
I mean, it's an adventure book. I mean, there is a lot of references to different martial arts films, to action films, to film noir as well, because that inspires us.
There's definitely some noir, just candles and moody pulp underground. So how about yourself, Jamie? Were you also practicing?
Yeah.
Or were you more consuming?
Yeah. I mean, this is why we came up with the character, and Chris and I were talking, and then we just basically started writing it.
You guys were in the same networking groups.
We're just on the same page. Pardon the pun, but that's true. We're just on the same page. Where we're coming from with it. And we both love detective stories, Columbo, all that kind of stuff, and Sherlock Holmes as well. So
it's wild how Best of the Best has kind of maintained some kind of cult fandom, because like I can't remember the last time it was like on TV. It's very readily available, DVD, Blu-ray, and streaming, but it's just one of those, like, more often than not, I would see one of the sequels just show up on TV. I don't know why that was. How did you guys consume or come across it?
For me, it's completely the opposite in the UK, because it's hard to find at all. Nobody, other than it being on, VHS and like a limited edition on, DVD. It's not available anywhere. We can't find it on streaming.
Oh wow!
It's a forgotten classic.
I wonder why that is. I don't. It's like Fox owns the first one. The others are by Weinstein Corporation, but that's been diffused and sold off. And so I wonder why that is.
Yeah, but I remember seeing it back in the day. I must have been about 10, and seeing the video store in Blockbusters, and to see So,
it's wild though too. Like it's a total reverse. Like usually the movie would be rated R, but everyone was okay with it, and then you'd have PG-13, PG rated sequels. This was the complete opposite. It was a PG-13 because it was kind of like Rocky. There was like only like some brief language, and then the sequel surprisingly got rated R.
Sequel just came
and they're very mild. Like they're not overblown, gruesome. It's just like blink and a miss moments. Yeah.
In the UK, the ratings here in terms of like PG-13 and things like that, I think the film was actually 18s, which is like whatever it is, rated R. But it's like so it was difficult for people to get, like for the teenagers to get. So even the censorship in terms of historically in the UK, everything has been censored. I'm talking about even
I bet there's a bunch of kicks
stuff like that. They were banned because they had the word ninja in. So in the UK, the Ninja Turtles were called the Hero Turtles. They didn't have the word ninja, and there's things like I remember a scene in the first Turtles movie where they had sausages as for nunchakas. That was good. It was like some violence. So, maybe that has something to do with it, like, here for you. But it's a cult favourite, to everyone in the UK of a certain age, because it's like we've seen it and it disappeared. And, just thinking about it.
There's just something about it, yeah. It's just, it's comfort food, it's hammy, but it's also gritty. It's a weird combo, but that's a definition of the 80s. For you.
Yeah, much, definitely.
Early 90s. So but you guys have been going to UK Moss for quite a while now?
I have, but Jamie's up in the north of Scotland, so that is miles away for him. So I don't know what the scene's like up there, Jamie. I don't know if there's much martial arts going on up there.
All right. Well, and what other guests have you been blown away by, where you're like, I had no idea they were like gonna come here or what have you?
Well, the reason why I went there to begin with was about my friend, and also he's kind of like my Tai Chi teacher called Andrew Chi Osborne. He does his own form of Tai Chi. He's developed himself through the years. He's like well known in the UK. He's close friends with all the top stars like Bill Wallace and Symphony of Rock, and he actually teaches them martial arts in terms of that. I kind of he was we met over social media, and we just, I was fortunate to train with him for a while. So he said, come and follow me down to the martial arts show in the UK martial arts. And then, basically he's the guy in demand. He knows everyone. So because they know him, they came to me and stuff like that. So I met, Scott Atkins. I met because Scott is actually from the same town as Andrew Chi. I was one of the close friends. So it's like I basically walked with Scott Atkins, someone I've seen on TV and films loads of times, and he just shook my hand, and that blew me away. He's like this down to earth guy you can meet. So,
sweet.
And then just loads of different people like that. People that you grew up with, like Bill Wallace and things like that. You just go at the UK show. You can just go up to them, say hello, and that's it. They're all down to earth people.
It's not overblown or any pressure.
Because I know that some places they charge you money, and you got to keep say like a foot away, like behind the closed doors and stuff like that. So it's very much like when I visited, the Comic-Con and Van Damme was there. It's like you had to have a queue a mile long, and you were only allowed to look at him behind like a screen, which had 10 bodyguards, and you had to $1,000 or whatever it is.
He's not going to have anyone come close to him. He wants to be in and out.
Yeah. You can pretty much come and see them, and they're all friendly, and you get a chance to train with them. And that's why it's the biggest in the UK. So that's
sweet.
At the end of the day, the humble people.
No, that's lovely, because I had to stop going to a few different conventions here in Dallas, Texas, just because it was just overblown or people didn't really want to be there. So I was like, okay, I'll come here, but only if synergy.
Certain celebrities where they're just there for the money, and they're not really into it all. It's just put you off, but I think the atmosphere, especially like the UK, we don't get many of those shows. It's one like humble in the UK because it's a small area. Whereas I guess in America it's like a big area, and if people don't want to be there, it spoils it. But definitely have had bad times as well. Some of them, but yeah. But the UK martial arts show is the best of the best.
Wait for it, No, that's lovely. So how many? So you want this to be an entire trilogy, like book series, or as far as your interest will go?
Yeah, at least a trilogy that we envisioned. We had at the moment working on different ideas. We'll just have to see how far we can get it. We had some ideas to have ninjas involved as well, and different subplots where it goes off and different characters. So it's very much in development, and so we release them, over the next, I would say, year and a bit. So at least a trilogy is what we have in mind.
I take it you'll probably have some weapons, drug traffickers, and other. It's so hard to find a good villain that hasn't been overdone, like.
He's going to go down to
the UK.
I don't know. I was going to say we don't have like a parody because a lot of it's been done before. Jimmy and I
you could have some IRA like ex-militia guys. But I could see this the main character even like teaming up with like a federal unit, like he's like an off the grid kind of guy. Could even joke, he's like, I'm more off the grid than NSA. I wasn't here, but I led you to where you can arrest the bad guy, and I'll leave the main guy for an ass whooping.
Yeah, well, that's what we kind of wanted to do. Like, but in this next book, we're going to try to do it a bit differently and have Alan come like maybe a bit late on rather than the start of the book. So it's kind of like builds it up, and he like turns up, and then rather than having from the get go, where the debut one is where everybody's fighting from the start and never lets up. This one we're going to try and pace it out a bit and have a bit more, intrigue to it.
Mm-hmm.
More
Instead of
atmosphere. Yeah.
get comfy.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
No, you guys were very energetic. It was really a lovely read. I never know, because it's hard. It's really hard to get everyone's interest, but you really did have a knack for just like, hey, I'm gonna illustrate the tension in the room and make it a real pop boiler. So yeah. Hats off, man, because that's not easy.
And we designed it for us, like make it short, because we both travel for work every day by bus or something, like, and it's like, for me personally, it takes up an hour to get to work. So if I have a book that's short, you can start. The chapters are short.
You can stop and go.
Stop and go, or whatever. If you're on the bus.
Without it, but you'll actually remember it also, instead of just being it's junk food. I didn't remember it.
Yeah. A lot of some of the books that are like heavy going, and you can lose like interest halfway through. But we'll keep it short, and you can keep it,
Well, and especially in digital, it's even harder. So that's awesome. Were you either of you privy to writing growing up, or doing essays or English writing, or was this more by, again?
Kind of try a few things of writing and see how the journey goes and how the partnership goes. And I think we want to try to do a few different things, but Alain Adventures are the main things we're going to do just now. And then we were talking about a couple of things, like trying to write a pilot for a TV show. It's something that we're going to try, hopefully, as well. We just enjoy writing. I think that's the main thing.
No, that's lovely, because I would encounter people in English class who just hated writing an essay. I'm like, well, an essay is pretty more clear cut versus investigating journalism, where it can change at different times and what have you. Is like, you're flat out telling everyone it just like a PowerPoint presentation. Like, it doesn't have to suck. Like, they're probably hating it because they've seen it done boringly. I'm like, well, that's not true. It can be interesting.
I think our motivation for this is each other. So I think we keep each other going, kind of thing. I think it'd be harder maybe for me to find that motivation and find the balance of what we're doing with the characters and plots from chapter to chapter. If I didn't have Chris talk to it about, and maybe Chris feels the same way. I think that's more motivating, and that kind of partnership that we have, kind of thing, especially for the first book, because the first book we wrote very quickly, and it just all fell together. We're taking our time. The second one, which we want to make it a bit longer than everything else, but I think, for me, definitely that motivation and that bouncing that ideas between us as well, because it's easy to talk to Chris about it. It's easy to get the ideas going, and that helps me from his ideas, and vice versa. I find that better for me, for actually motivating and inspiring me to maybe write. And not, most of the writing, I'll be honest with you, the ideas and we talk about, but most of the writing was Chris in the first book. It's just my ideas that he actually ran with.
For me personally,
isn't that right, Chris?
For me personally, I wrote like loads of kind of started books in the past, and I sort of gave up halfway through because I've lost interest in them, or
anyone could come up with a demon possession, vampire takeover, or even erotic action movie where you're just like, stop. This is. I used to go to the grocery store and I would read new. And I was like, see, anything can be put on the New York Times, best selling. So, but then you'd find that really good one, and then you'd forget the name. You're like, what's the name of that?
I've had that before. I said, this is great. And then, what's the name? Yeah. That's why it's great to work with Jamie, because, we can bounce ideas off each other. And then, if he comes up with something, I can take that idea and run with it further. And if there's something that, we can try it out and bounce off each other. And if it doesn't work, we can just get rid of it and move on to something else. Whereas before, if I was doing it on my own, I'd say, this is great. And then I'm maybe not interested. Just throw it away and scrap the whole lot. So it's good. We can,
Got to be adaptable and
You're
accept
able
change
to
as well, 'cause it does-
experiment, but then disassociate if it's
Well,
just not clicking.
Because it doesn't always sound the way you want, or maybe it didn't work the first time when you come out with something and admit that you need to add more to it or whatever, you know. Most of the time it's actually taken away. It makes it better.
That's good. It's a start.
True. But one of the main influences for the first book is Best of the Best for sure. The first one. With Simon Rea, Philip Rea. I'm a big fan of Simon Rea and what he's done in the film industry, and that's why we wanted to name one of the characters Dehan in the first book. So,
and it's just so wild. It's like it's two real life brothers, but they're playing, unrelated competitors.
They're martial artists, and not just in film, but what they've done with their martial arts career and everything else. But
yeah, I followed Simon Rea a bunch, and I would always recognize him when I would see a war movie. I'm like, hey, that was him who just got blown up, and seen him double for Jackie Chan. And I think I felt it was validating not only for his fans, but also for him when he won for being part of the stunt team on Letters from Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
I was like, that's like the biggest moment in all the battle scenes in that drama.
The first film is just, it's an emotional roller coaster by the end of it. I've never seen anyone cry so much on screen like Roberts.
I'm Best of the Best, yeah.
I don't use it, and for both like the heroes to like cry at the end. Well, like if it was a Van Damme movie or maybe
Bloodsport, yeah.
So in the Seagal movie, they wouldn't be crying. Like Seagal would make them cry. Because it has heart.
Wishful thinking.
It has heart. That's what I like about it. It's not like tough guy, killed like Arnie, killed 100 people and say, I'll be back and things like that. And stick around that. It's like
it's not meant to be.
Of course, the guy with the Buddhist guy in Best of the Best, he's Jeff Speakman's brother in The Perfect Weapon, isn't he? Can't remember the actor's name.
Oh, really? Let's see. Perfect Weapon.
Yeah, I recognize
him. I don't remember his name, but in Best of the Best, because the characters themselves, Chris Payne has.
I know James Yu was in both, but that's not who you're talking about.
I know that Philip, it was a passion project for Philip because it's based on his true life. True life. And like in the 80s, when he was like a boxer, I know that's pretty much a passion project for him. I know who Jamie's on about, but I can't remember the guy's name.
Big Ben should have been bigger, but it was one of those. His agent really goofed it up, and his movies didn't do as well. Which is a shame because we enjoy him now. So it's like,
yeah. So did you like the sequels to The Best of the Best? Or?
Oh yeah, and very fun, unapologetic, shameless, but also kind of like The Substitute. Like they were that rare kind of like even people who normally wouldn't watch those kind of B action movies just would see them if they came on TNT or USA Network. It's just that kind of movie that just, and it's so funny. Some of the same people worked on both those franchises. It's just so, but they're easygoing martial arts movies. They're also, again, they're not too over the top to where you're like, I gotta leave the room or I can only watch this, by myself. It's like, yeah, you can watch this. It's by the time you're 15.
I mean, the second is a typical sequel, isn't it? To be honest with you, but then the third and fourth one are completely different.
Completely different Jackie Chan type movies that Philip's doing.
They could really do a decent release on Blu-ray or even 4K. Somebody's bound to pick them up and give them a proper release.
I don't know why people hold back when, if anyone browses Twitter, like
is how we met, or even social media. You'll see there's an audience for anything, and given what bloggers I've seen be featured as like film historians on Blu-rays, it's like, yeah, I guess at this point, if you can meet some of these people, you might as well dub yourself a film historian, and it can't be that hard. I mean, so
it seems to be Germany seems to get like the illegal Blu-ray releases, not like the official, kind of like.
There was that. Mexico had some, and it's not uncommon. People can do a manufactured on demand. This is another one where they just deliberately upscale something in Adobe and put it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but that's all you can get, for some reason.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the other thing too. Is just people who are never going to release these different movies. It's like, well, then release them instead of complaining that it's being pirated.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Philip Leo and Simon will end up watching this because we're mentioning Best of the Best, and they might decide to get them released properly, at some point.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Hopefully, when I see them in the UK martial arts show, I'll ask them that if we can get it. Especially in the UK, we need more physical media and stuff like that, because the stuff that they're releasing at the moment is like only there for a certain amount of time, and then it's gone, because it's like 88 films and stuff like that. They've bought loads of the old school stuff, but it's like about $30 or something like that for Blu-ray, and it's only there for like a little while. I just want stuff to go back. It'd be good if there was like something like Best of the Best for this generation, for get the kids involved and stuff like that, and get that martial arts spirit going again. That's what we really need. But yeah, I'll ask them, see what they say. Yeah, whoever owns it.
Oh, and so what other conventions have you guys been to lately that you'd recommend others check out, especially if they like these kind of martial arts movies from the late 80s, early 90s?
Well, it's got to be the Fighting Spirit Festival in two locations in the UK. It's in Birmingham, which is in the Midlands of the UK, and London, which is the main 2-day event. And it shows everything from like short films that people have done themselves, and also a few classic films. And so it's kind of like mixing it up a bit, and there's demonstrations, martial arts as well. So that's the best, probably the main one for martial arts fans is the Fighting Spirit Festival. I'm friends with the founder Sue Cole, and she does a great job. It's just, sometimes depending on the budget, they go on tour and do like smaller different events. But the Fighting Spirit is definitely the one. It's equivalent to the Urban Action Showcase in America. So it's that kind of level of involvement. So they promote the new guys, and also showcase some of the older films. So it's inspiring people to get into the film industry that maybe you haven't even thought of it before. So that's if just like kids left school with passion of martial arts, like Sue and the guys, they promote it and get the film shown on the big screen, which is like a lot. If you're just starting out and you're doing the film, it's a real boost of confidence. Rather than just putting it on YouTube and like a couple of people to watch, you can see it on the big screen and it can inspire us. So that's the one in the UK. I would like to big up as well. The Fighting. I'll send you the link for that as well later on after the podcast. So that's one I would promote. Jamie, I don't know if you've got any you would recommend.
No, not Scotland or anything like that, to be honest with you. To be honest.
Speaking of the Scots, I know Adrian Paul, the star of Highlander, does a fun sword class internationally. So it's interesting seeing all these different stars like being very interactive. It's not just look at my master class, look at this. I find it really empowering, especially when they do these different anniversary movie screenings.
Yeah. It's hard getting them in. I live like way up the top north in Inverness, and it's hard getting an audience for these kind of films up here.
Yeah.
Like,
the people who would be interested can't afford to go to those, so it's like you got to circulate it around. You got to.
Yeah. I mean, we've shown Asian films. We showed Raging Fire. Didn't do anything. Didn't do anything at all.
Oh wow.
Our cinema. I'm a projectionist, and we have our own film festival up here, and that always does well. But martial arts cinema, Asian cinema, not really. I had no idea why. Glasgow, all these other places further down south, they do well. They do well with film screenings of Asian films, but there's no actual Asian film festival up here. Martial arts film festival.
Yeah, especially here in the States. Like if you're in a local, big or small city, if you don't go to your local art house theater, especially if it's in Angelica or Draft House, you're probably not going to see those. And so then this goes back to the home media.
We tried to get a couple of things up and running, but it's never come to fruition before. You know what I mean? We've been close to doing it, but it's just getting the audiences. That's our problem up here.
Yeah.
Funding as well is the main thing, isn't it? It's from getting a lot of cinemas need to get the funding for festivals and things like that because it's
all the marketing.
And a lot of it is mainly, especially in England, it's down in London where,
London, yeah, that's where all the films
miles away from
stuff is.
We have to travel to them to really get anything. So but they sometimes, like the Fight Spirit Festival, they tour, but it all depends on money. If they can get backers from, the different associations. But then again, the hands are tied. They have to screen from like a list, like a playlist. They can't just like pick what they want. They can negotiate, but there has to be like some element in terms of funding involved and all that to do with fortunes.
One of the best film festivals I've ever been to was in London, and it was at the Prince Charles Cinema. And it was an Asian film festival. I can't actually remember the name of it. It was about 10 years or so ago. And it was like, can't remember some of the films, but it was My Way. There was loads of different stuff, Korean, Chinese films. It was one of the best times because you could speak to other people. There was a lot of people there that all appreciated the same.
There was actual interaction instead of let's sign autographs.
Yeah, I mean that's what I loved about it was the networking with other people. We're speaking to, for one of a better expression, like-minded people. Because I mean, it was 5 days from morning till night watching martial arts films. It was great. Amazing.
Well, and I can only hope that also the people doing the remastering, stick around long enough and are able to do this with different movies instead of just do lazy DVD upgrades and just supplementals, like maybe even have a fan panel. Is like there's nothing better than explaining why certain people just made an impact. It's sometimes cool to hear from fans. It's like, hey, this movie made me take a workout seriously, even though goofy movie, but I love it.
Well, everyone's inspired by other people. I mean, Scott Adkins openly said about Lauren Arlington and various other people inspiring him. No retreat, no surrender, all that kind of stuff.
Bingo.
So everyone inspired somewhere. It's got to start somewhere. Maybe Mark Dacascos and what he could do. I mean, he inspired a lot of people. He was the closest thing to Hong Kong cinema back in the 80s and 90s, Only the Strong, all that kind of stuff. Drive, all that he did.
Right.
Amazing talent.
Well, and it is wild how much like Bloodsport, Best of the Best kind of takes the whole, Rocky approach.
Yeah, just
It's like a cross
training
between Rocky,
montages.
yeah, Rocky, Karate Kid, and Top Gun, isn't it? Best of the best.
Top of the gun. I talked about dance movies like Flashdance and Footloose, same kind of deal. Is like just show the passage of time, but show it in a way where it doesn't rob you of the emotion. It's just like, okay, cool. I mean, if you can watch a big, epic, award-winning movie like Chariots of Fire, then this can work here too. Like, it's just,
yeah. Eric Roberts doing his wild, and you call it Chris Penn with his Footloose hat on. That kind of puts images of that. So,
yeah, there you go. There's the Footloose connection.
Yeah, it's a shame this, the second movie didn't feed on from the first. I think it would have been better. The series would have went a bit further than what it did. It's definitely the first one. That's my favorite, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's just wild. Like, it just kind of embraced it. It's like, okay, everybody's gonna overact and everything, but it's still, there's some heart to it, and that's what separates it from other stuff that might be bloated or over the top or too much. It's a very fast-paced movie, and yeah, it was, again, the entire family could watch it. So
yeah. They kind of like the last. It was the last step. I would say the third wave of American martial arts movies, because we first had like Bruce Lee ones. Then
you mentioned Van Damme earlier, and he was kind of the one who, for a while, much like everyone else was doing all the revenge stuff, he was doing the whole I'm an undercover cop, and I also happen to be a martial arts expert. And then when Speakman and company come along, it's just like, yeah, they're doing fun kind of high noon stuff where it's Roadhouse type villains, meets I'm gonna defend my town from violent gangs, and
yeah, kind of like things like Olivia Gruner's Angel Heart and stuff like that, where it's all the same type of premise.
Olivia Gruner's a good cross section. He should have been bigger.
You saved my town from, kind of like Seven Samurai, where one side is going to save it from the bandits or something like that. Going to save my town from the developers or whatever, or the guys that want to take over the restaurant or whatever, that type of thing. And then it kind of went into more like police procedural type stuff, like they got Gary Daniels and
yes,
with his shirt off.
Where Dolph Lundgren took over, it was that. Yeah, let's see.
Kind of progressed into that, and then it kind of fizzled out towards like the mid to late 90s. Kind of guys like Brian Bosworth and all these.
Brian Bosworth, there you go. There's a name I have not heard.
And they kind of all disappeared, and then
they really did. It was like, where did you go? I need you, man.
Yeah. Then there's still the odd film that you'd find that vein, like the Viking Samurai guy. He's trying to bring some stuff back.
Yeah, I'm interacting with some of him on social media, and I'm glad he put the whole Seagal thing to rest. Is like, okay, yeah, he's an asshole, but he just owned him, but he didn't make him shit his pants. But at the same time, we like to think he did. And it has been interesting, though, getting all these stories, is like which people we've had to appreciate their work, but keep the art, much like with music, keep the artist separate from the art, but Olivia Gruner has kind of been interesting at just reminding people, hey, it's okay to like some of the fun lowbrow B-movie stuff you saw on home video, because like he was the face of it for a while.
Yeah, with PM Entertainment.
Yeah, PM Entertainment was big for a while, and there's been some new podcasts and blogs covering their stuff, so that's pretty cool.
You forget how many films that these guys put out in a short space of time. There's some classics that you see, and you forget about and think, oh, I remember that one and remember that. So yeah, it's definitely worth a revisit. And so but it was Olivia Gruner, Danna Dragon Wilson. And,
Yeah, Don the Dragon Wilson has definitely been the key to like
Bolo.
they mix in killer robots and apocalyptic stuff and still doing stuff that Bruce Lee would be proud of, but it's just that's just it. It's in a different context. It's in a different platform, if you will.
This they see like the trend, so they've got like the robots and cyber things of like Terminator that was popular. Terminator 2 add the martial arts and that, and then action, to things like that. So it's kind of P9 was kind of like the last of the big studios, underground studios, to bring it out to churn all the stuff out for the video market. Then at the end of VHS and DVD. Once Blockbuster's gone and the local video store's gone, there's nothing. There's probably films out there that are just as good, but they're all hidden on YouTube or under different names or something like that. You can go and find them, but there's nothing, one place where you can see them or anything like that. It's like the word of mouth. So it does, involve a lot of looking on social media to say, oh.
Yeah. And
interesting. Go on, Chris.
Yeah, they mix in martial arts. The average, excuse me, spy movie nowadays. So that's always interesting too.
Yeah.
Promise. Well, and it's also been cool how you guys were in a lot of the same East Asia and Hong Kong movie threads. Yeah, you've been. Everybody remembers to post every weekend, so that's always a fun kind of community kind of reminder of keeping the movie fanfare alive.
That's why I post on X, Twitter, that I put like what I'm currently watching. So someone might say, "Oh, I haven't heard of that film. I'll check it out." And I do the same. They post that inspires them, to look into things like that. And I think that's what it's all about. Just like the sharing the knowledge, keeping that memory alive. And just because there's no magazines, there's no forums, anything that you can find anything. It's all word of mouth.
Absolutely. There's some other good indie film podcasts. The Direct to Video Digest will do a fun look at short films as well as indie films that have been kind of forgotten. Same kind of deal. It's both American and British crew, and it's interesting getting all their different perspectives on these kinds of cult movies. Is there any other kind of genre you guys would like to write in the future, like mystery, sci-fi, horror?
Actually, yeah, because before we did this one, we did have like a children's book. This is to try and test out how to get a book on Amazon, because none of us had written a full book before, so
no one knows where it'll go. Yeah,
so we just wrote 2 quick children's books. So they're like a superhero for children, very much like he's by day he's a taxi driver, but by night he's a superhero. So we're looking to do that as well, but we've written 2 books. It's called Taxi Dad, and it's like he's a spy, secret agent.
Nice.
So that's got a few views on that. So we might develop that, but maybe a western. That might be a good thing, because the westerns, there's another genre that's kind of gone and then came back, and then
Yeah, we're going to go back to Dr. Dad and keep going back and forth, but we were talking about maybe a vampire book as well. Talking about maybe making a martial arts vampire kind of little.
There you
adventure.
go. There's a combo.
But we're making like nasty vampires, not ones that sparkle in the daylight.
Right. I mean, Cy-Hart did a vampire movie. There's been all kinds of vampire movies. Blade's obviously the most popular, but like, I see what you mean. Whereas like you could twist it around a bit.
Yeah, you mean but there's too much of it at times. It has all been done before. That's the thing, a lot of it has. But we're hoping maybe to do something with the vampire genre at some point. I think
like Hammer horror type, the Seven Golden Vampires, Hammer horror type.
Oh, there you go. Hammer horror. Yep.
But bring it up to date, maybe like modern day vampires, but things like that. I don't know. We're inspired by loads of different stuff, so it's just come with ideas, really. But yeah.
Well, we forgot to mention one thing that we didn't mention was Remo. The Remo novels were a big inspiration to us, and Remo Unarmed and Dangerous film as well for the Tiger's Claw, and that's the kind of adventures that we want to actually write. To be honest.
Like a pulp type novel, like we used to get back in the days where it's you find the small books that would be like 100 pages long, and then just be like a continuation of action stories and stuff.
Is 100 pages kind of the new like requirement, or did they kind of vary by publisher?
Well, I think it just varies. It depends on this. I think it's mainly for the audiences just to read on the book on when they're traveling. That's what it's for. If you're on like a plane on a flight somewhere, and it's 100 pages. If you go back to like the James Bond books, they're only 100 pages, 100 pages, and things like that, like the early novels.
It's behind, you never know.
Yeah, so and because people got a short attention span, TikTok and all this, it's only on the long form videos now on Instagram and TikTok, they're only a minute long, and they tell a story over time. So time, and what the attention span is. Okay.
Nice.
Well, 3 and 2 on the Muse takes we want to do longer. We can do. I think with this book that we're going to do at the moment, we're going to try and double the amount of pages we start off with, just to see if we can do that and see how that plays. And play with the pace and stuff like that, and
test it out.
And one thing we are trying to stay away from is to make them bleak.
There you go. Give some hope.
We don't do too dark.
Adventure. Don't want it too bleak. Don't want it to get into that bleakness that everything seems to have nowadays.
Because like, if you turn on the news, everything's dark and doom and gloom. There's, Donald Trump this, blowing up that. And,
there's going to be things happen, but there's going to be
you want something against
a good end to it, a conclusion kind of thing,
Right.
That's what like the videos and stuff like that were popular at the time because of escapism. That's all it is, and go to blockbusters and get them out. And,
It just becomes a bit too much when you just keep adding all that onto it, and most of the stuff, most of the TV shows and like that's all you're actually getting nowadays. So life's hard enough at the time, so you just make it a little bit lighter.
No one has that time, man. We gotta keep it fun. And that's the other thing too, is do you think writers struggle to have there be enough challenges while also enough interest? It's like character's got to lose something or have a half victory, half loss kind of.
Yeah. Well, running the first one, we kind of tried to just pace it out. I know that some of the fighting scenes I know had a bit of trouble with when to put like the over the top fight scenes in first, or do we put them last to try and get people interested, so and things like that. So the actual structure of, we didn't want to peak too soon, but at the same time want to gain people's interest. So that was a bit of the challenge for the first one. So hopefully in the second one we'll try and figure it out properly, like we're watching a film or something like that. How would they do it in a film? So that's what we hope to do a bit more on this next book.
Right.
So a bit more.
I wish the best on it, because it's hard, like you say, it's hard to get interest, but you guys are so comfortable working with each other. Amazon still figured out, ways to let people post their books and share the stories.
The self-publishing is probably the best thing that's happened for it, especially if you've got no if you do the traditional way, you have like manuscript.
You don't have to do any politics with how the book is done. Yeah.
Give it to a publisher to read, and they would take out all the good bits, and then say write more in this style, and then they would have to do that. And at the end of the day, they would own probably about half the book. Was this? We own 100, well, most of it anyway, 70%, 80% of it, and we would pay Amazon for the royalty fee and publishing fee, and that's it. I think, if it wasn't for like self-publishing, I don't think we would have progressed a bit further than what we've been on our own traditional way.
Right. Well, it's been a delight, gents. I think we summed it up. Anything else you want us to know about the upcoming event?
Yes, I'll send you. I'll pop you an email after this for the Fighting Spirit, and if anyone wants to go, we can the tickets details as well.
Okay, perfect. I will link it in there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up